I am joined by Robert Griffin III, James Whitefield, Yates Meanekeims.
All right, so first play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick, Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media on the ramps outside of Gillette Stadium for a live Day 12 training camp recap, Sunday edition. We're a little late. I apologize because I mistakenly brought a football to practice, and now our producers can't get ours. No, I'm just kidding. But we were practicing a little football, so now we're here. It's 3:45, and we are recapping Day 12. We are powered by Game Time and Prize Picks. Head over to Game Time. Use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. You can get into Thursday's game against the Eagles with Game Time, and then you can go to Prize Picks. Use code CLNS for a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100 times apply, and you can throw a little something around, some cash around on that game. But for now, it's still Sunday. Football Sunday here in Foxboro. The Patriots, again, wrapping up Day 12. And, Taylor, I'll say that I thought we always start with quarterbacks because, obviously, you know, Drake May is the number 3 overall pick, and that's sort of what everybody's looking for. But I really thought that today was Jacoby Brissett's best day this summer. I think he only had one, bad pass where he almost got undercut by Christian Gonzalez for an interception. But other than that, you can tell why he's the guy that they brought in here for Drake May, right? He knows Alex Van Pelt's system. They went out. Jerron Mayo went out. And Mayo goes out and gets Alex Van Pelt. And then he sees that, okay, this is the quarterback I want to run my system because he knows it. Then they go and get Drake May. Like, all the pieces that are into place. And you can say what you will about the lack of play time for Drake May on Thursday and this, that, and the other thing. But I think that they have a plan. They concocted this plan, and it's working. And I think today just showed that, Brissett is the right guy and has been the right guy for that. He had a nice touchdown throw in 11-on-11 to KJ Osborne, where he ended up being his third read across the back of the end zone. He had a nice goal ball to Jalen Reagor. He diced them up in 7-on-7 when the Patriots were running zone on them. He just basically ate the Patriots defense, one of the better ones in football, basically for lunch out here on one session. So, it all came together today, and it really excites me, and it makes me realize that, yes, we want to see Drake May, but we don't necessarily need to rush it.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about the quarterback reps, obviously everybody got, pretty rattled by the fact that it was the Bailey Zappi show for most of the game on Thursday. And we were in that same boat because it was like, all right, clearly there is some kind of plan here, as Gerard Mayo mentioned. But at the same time, we don't know what that plan is. So why in the world are we seeing so much Bailey Zappi and Joe Milton and very little of your starting quarterback and your rookie quarterback? But we got some more clarity, I feel like, today because Bailey Zappi and Joe Milton only got to rep towards the end of an 11-on-11 practice today. Started off with Bailey Zappi. He got 3 reps. Then Joe Milton got 2 reps. But really, today was all about Jacoby Brissett and Drake May. Both guys, I thought, had positive practices. Like you mentioned, one of Jacoby Brissett's best days this summer. Only plays I had as negatives for him were one throw to Christian Gonzalez, undercut the out route. Plus, that got bobbled. It wasn't really a pure interception. It was one that actually Jalen Reagor almost caught along the sideline, just couldn't keep his feet in bounds. And then earlier on in practice, there was an out route to Tyquan Thornton. It was sprayed wide a little bit. But other than that, Jacoby Brissett on the money, taking what the defense gave him, taking shots when they presented themselves. And then in terms of Drake May, also thought he looked good today. Again, taking just a lot of the short stuff. You could see at times today, he wanted to go deep. Like you would see him look down the sideline and kind of start throwing, but then stop himself and go short. That's okay. We're talking about a rookie who's still trying to establish his place on this team. It's one thing to be Jacoby Brissett, who understands, I'm going to take some chances in practice, see what I can get away with. But he is the starter. Gerard Mayo's been saying it since day one, even in the spring and this summer. Drake May doesn't have the same type of job security per se, so I'm completely okay with him making the smart decisions. The one, glaring bad thing that happened from Drake May today was a play where he looked like he was starting to scramble because his options weren't available. Saw Jaheim Bell maybe coming open over the middle and tried to sidearm throw it. Ended
across
up
his
getting
body too.
Across his body too. Ends up getting batted in the air and intercepted. A lot of batted passes today that either were intercepted or were nearly intercepted. I think it was Del Pettis who came close, wasn't able to actually haul it in.
Right place, right time again for Del Pettis, man.
Right. And it's one of those Drake May plays where he'll do some of that, the crazy off-schedule stuff. And sometimes it looks really bad if it doesn't work. More often than not, though, based on his college tape, I'd say it does. And today was an example of that because 2 or 3 plays after he almost got intercepted, he tried nearly the exact same play again, and it was completed to Jacob Warren. So both quarterbacks, strong performances. Not so much from Joe Milton and Bailey Zappi. None of their combined 3 attempts ended up being accurate. But you like to see Jacoby Brissett, who's supposed to be your starter, looking like a veteran in command of the offense, and then Drake May is someone who continues to get better each and every day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, talking about the plan and where they're at, Mayo mentioned after the game that Brissett and May are going to get a lot of reps this week against the Eagles.
And that was the guess, right?
On Tuesday. That was the guess, and that's what we saw here today, like you said. I was getting ready. I was drafting up a tweet for post-practice saying that Milton and Zappi got no competitive reps in 11s and 7s because it was right there, and then all of a sudden they threw both of them in the mix at the very end. But for the most part, it was the Brissett and it was the May show. And you mentioned, too, like, talking about that crossbody throw and the one that almost got picked off and how he goes back to it later, that's the good and that's the bad that you're going to get with a guy like Drake May. Yeah. And we talked about it earlier in our stand-up, but if you haven't seen that already, I'll say it again here live, where those are the plays that made him the number 3 pick. Those are the plays that made him a superstar at North Carolina. He can extend plays. He can make things happen. He can pull a rabbit out of his hat, if you will, when something's not there. And so if he tries to make it happen, great. He has to, figure out his decision making and if he wants to try and make that happen. And you saw it, like you mentioned too, with the deep balls, where instead of trying to fit it into a tight window, he might realize, I can't make that throw right now in the NFL, so I'm just going to throw it away. And
there was actually one play where he did try to get aggressive. We've seen him try to take 1 or 2 shots in the practices since he mentioned not having aired it out. There was one coverage rotation where there was some space down the sideline for KJ Osborne. Now, that one was overthrown by Drake May, which actually has been a bit of a pattern that we've seen. When he does try to go downfield, a lot of the times it's either completely overthrown or kind of right at his receiver's fingertips when they extend. Part of that might just be, a little bit of jitters because he's getting these limited opportunities. He wants to take advantage. We'll see what happens there, but it was nice to at least see that when he did see a downfield window that he could have exploited, he tried to, just couldn't connect.
Yep, so a couple housekeeping items and attendance notes from today's practice. Demario Douglas comes out in the white it's not a white contact jersey. He's stripped of. Yeah, he's not in the red non-contact jersey anymore. Officially a full participant in 7s and 11s, obviously in 1-on-1s. Tucker Addington was out here on a red non-contact jersey. That might just be a clerical thing with where they're putting him, not offense, not defense. He's a long snapper.
Michael Petway wears 46 for the offense. Yeah. Usually a long snapper would be on the offensive side of the ball. I think that's what that was.
Yeah, again, not reading too much into that, but it was kind of funny. He gets signed last week because Joe Cardona's banged up, and then he comes out here in red non-contact. But Marte Mapu out still, came out after, not participating, not in pads. Kendrick Bourne was out here for stretch today. The last time we were out here, he was not out here for stretch. So I guess that's a positive in the wake of Brandon Ayuk probably not coming here. It doesn't look like KB's going to be out of here anytime soon either. And then defensive end John Morgan did not participate. Besides that, pretty much full participation from everyone. It was a good day out here. Everyone looks to be pretty healthy.
Especially in the trenches. Yeah. We actually saw a few people come. We saw City So and Chukwuka Okorafor, both of whom did play on Thursday against the Panthers, but we weren't sure, 100% if they were actually going to be out here today. They were. Also, we saw Joshua Uche and Matt Judon, neither of whom played on Thursday out here participating in team drills. Uche hadn't been doing that for a few practices, and Matthew Judon had also missed, I believe it was Tuesday's practice ahead of the Thursday game, so some reinforcements in the trenches as well.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about the trenches, I want to get to the offensive line in a second, but first I want to talk about Pop Douglas because he was sort of my first attendance note being in the white jersey, and everybody pretty much on Media Hill tweeted it after like 2 sessions of practice where you can just see this offense is just different when he's on the field. He opens up routes for everybody else. He also pretty much always gets open. He toasted Isaiah Bolden in a 1-on-1. Drake May hit him on a crosser at 7-on-7. Like, he's just always there. He looks to be creating a little bit of a rapport with Jacoby Brissett as well when they're out there with the first team offense. And you can just see it change. It adds such a different element to this offense when Douglas is healthy and ready to go. So, yes, he dealt with injury last year. He was dealing with injury, earlier in this camp, obviously, with the red non-contact jersey. But now it looks like he's going to be fully healthy. We'll see if we see him on the field in the game against the Eagles. But I'm excited to see what he does against non-Patriots DBs on Tuesday when the Eagles come into town. I know we talked to Keyshawn Booty after practice, and he was talking about the DBs they have over there, Keely Ringo and a couple other SEC guys. Eli Ricks.
Yeah,
it's going to be a legit test for these Patriots receivers, and I'm excited to see what Pop can do against those guys. What did you see from Pop today? What do you make of him being back out here, looking to be actually fully healthy, getting ready for coming into the season?
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett mentioned wanting to have better chemistry with Pop, joking that he has to get used to throwing to a shorter guy. Yeah. But clearly, Pop was the favorite today. He was targeted, I counted 9 times. There were a couple plays where that were from Drake May. One, as you mentioned, was the crosser where Demario Douglas was able to find space over the middle. Most of those, though, did come from Jacoby Brissett. A lot of those were short short passes over the middle where the defense was in zone, and Jacoby Brissett said, fine, I'll pick you apart. Just keep throwing to Pop Douglas underneath. The one time Pop really did pop
nice.
in terms of, thank you, in terms of downfield targets. Sorry, my bad. My peripheral vision sucks. No, you're good, buddy. But the one time he did win downfield, Jacoby Brissett might have thrown it just a little bit far, but it did go off Demario Douglas's hands. One of the only times we haven't seen a ball that went to Demario Douglas actually get completed. Right. Also saw him draw a penalty during one team drill. So everything we've been saying about Pop Douglas, it's really coming to fruition. He's becoming one of those top targets. I mentioned like KJ Osborne and Hunter Henry have really looked like Jacoby Brissett's favorite targets throughout most of the summer. But Demario Douglas, as he's shown in a couple practices, definitely one of the guys that should be towards the top of the list when it comes to targets.
Yeah, for sure. I want to do the offensive line. I want Amit to get over here so he can help us out with a quick ad. So we'll get to the offensive line. We will we'll do a quick hitter on some other offensive injuries that we didn't touch on during the attendance period of the show. We'll wrap it up. Not too much to glean from today. I think the big news was the quarterbacks. We'll get to the offensive line. We'll get to some defensive stuff. But first, a quick word from our friends over at Game Time. We'll be right back.
Dog days of summer here in Boston, which means it's time to get to some games over at Fenway Park. This baseball season, I'm using Game Time to land my Red Sox tickets. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball, which means getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. It's super easy. You just open the app, click Sports, and the games will be right there for you. Right now, you can get tickets to the Rollin' Red Sox for as low as $11. You can even buy parking for the game and check out your seat view right in the app. With Game Time, you can save up to 60% by buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theaters, and more. Get the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
All right, that's Game Time. Head over there, use code CLNS for $20 off that first purchase. Thank you. I lost my pen that I was also using as a paperclip.
Okay?
So no, I think we're good. We got don't worry about it. All right, fine. Here we go. We're gonna talk offensive line because offensive line was, I guess, a sticking point, I would say, of Thursday's game where everyone was kind of wondering if that's the reason Drake May only played 7 snaps, only played 1 drive, if they don't trust the offensive line. Gerard Mayo said it a little bit where we don't want to get that guy killed back there. So it was kind of like, they're not really, they don't seem, I guess from the outside looking in, it seems like they're not too sure of their offensive line. But at the same time, they had the same offensive line combination really going for them in the game into today. Vidarian Lowe at left tackle, City So at left guard. Do I have that right? So at left guard. I keep getting him and Mike confused. I don't know why. But David Andrews at center, Mike Onwenu at right guard, and then Chuks Okorafor comes back at right tackle. Okorafor played in Thursday's game after missing some practices prior to game day, but then he comes back out here today. Looks pretty good, looks pretty healthy. So this kind of seems like this is their decision at offensive line. I talked about this with Alex Barth on the 98.5 The Sports Hub practice recap, where it's like it's okay that this is the answer because it seems like they're comfortable with it, but it doesn't, like, I don't like that there's a, I'm trying to think of how I want to word it. There's a vision for the future where Caden Wallace is your left tackle and Chuks can be your right tackle, and then if eventually you move off Chuks and put Mike Onwenu at right tackle, then you really have guys under contract down for the foreseeable future. So it's like, I don't know why we're waiting on that. And I understand Lowe has looked better. It hasn't been the Vidarian Lowe of last year. I know we talk about where we'll tweet something about Vidarian Lowe. Hey, he's at left tackle, and like Patriots fans go berserk. And I get it because it's ingrained in your head that this guy was a turnstile in 2023, and he wasn't great last year. But I think, and you've mentioned, and I've kind of leaned on you and relied on your insight for this, where he looks much more comfortable at left tackle. He is a left tackle, so. Again, it looks like they're going with this, at least to start the season. What do you make of it, and what did you see today from the offensive line?
I thought the offensive line was definitely better than it's been in the days where they didn't have Chuks Okorafor. In terms of pass protection, it felt like Jacoby Brissett had more time than he has in the past. Even Drake May, I didn't notice as many of the instant pressures that we've seen recently. In the run game, we weren't seeing, like, the lanes built for trucks that we were seeing in the first couple padded practices. But also, since those 2 padded days, we were seeing the defensive line dominate and build a wall up front, not give the run game anything. Today, not really to either side. There was one run stuff. You didn't get the explosive runs, but you did see much more competitiveness, and it felt like the offense was actually moving the ball against New England's defensive front. So that was pretty huge. Also, Chuks Okorafor, in terms of how he played in the game, I thought that he was solid, because I've seen some criticism over his performance. I know the last snap that he had a pretty ugly loss. In terms of the run blocking, he just isn't really a people mover.
Right.
Like, he's not Mike Nwenu, he's not City So, he's not those guys.
You see him out in number 77. I'm like, oh, wow, Trent Brown lost weight.
Right.
Like, he's a slimmer tackle. He's more of a technician than he is, like you said, a people mover.
And when you look at him next to Nwenu, you're like, whoa, this guy's tiny.
Yeah,
So he's not the same type of player. I think maybe I gave him a little more slack when it came to the run blocking because of that. But in pass protection, I thought he was fine. Like, that's the Chuks you were hoping to get, where he's not going to be that guy who has a ton of those quick, ugly losses, although obviously he mentioned playing with better pad level. That was definitely one place he can improve. But Vidarian Lowe, I don't want him to start. I think it's still as solid as he's been. He's someone who will have some of the more dominant wins when it comes to the offensive tackle group because he's got length, he's got athleticism. Gerard Mayo mentioned he brings those things to the group, but he is a guy who's a bit stiff when it comes to his bending ability. So he's going to have those really oh God, that's those losses you really just don't want to have to deal with. So I'd personally like to see Caden Wallace out there at left tackle. If there's going to be growing pains and losses, I'd rather you take them with Caden Wallace and see if he can improve rather than put Vidarian Lowe out there when he's on a one-year deal and you're trying to get Caden Wallace ready. But in Scott Peters we trust, so I'm just going to see how they go about this line rotation. Gerard Mayo said after this next upcoming preseason game against the Eagles, he'd like to have that rotation figured out, but right now it's looking like Vidarian Lowe at left tackle. Not a bad thing. Again, the line has been solid when all five of the starting guys have been healthy, but even still, I like Caden Wallace's upside better, obviously, and I would just rather go with him instead of someone in Vidarian Lowe, who I think is more of a quality backup, specifically at left tackle.
So I want to ask you that then, because again, we've sort of speculated that when they were doing their rotation with the tackles, Caden Wallace's line when he was on the left tackle starting, it looked the best for a period of days when he was out here. Then Lowe comes in, they kind of fell off a little bit, but they've gotten back up to speed. I think the offensive line looks solid, but the sort of theory, I guess, was that they're going to split these guys up so that Drake May doesn't go back in the set with the second offensive line and get killed. So really, they're giving him Caden Wallace to try and let him grow with him because that's going to be your left tackle and quarterback of the future. So
I hope so.
With that being said, and this is what I want to ask you, I'm kind of want to have you speculate here, but I'm curious on your opinion. Where are they going to do this and have this be the starting offensive line come week one, or is this just like a training camp thing where they're splitting these guys up, giving May, giving Brissett sort of both pretty solid offensive lines, offensive tackles, what have you, and then once the season comes, you throw Caden Wallace on the top line, or do you think they're just going to go straight forward and have Wallace be a backup to start the year?
I think we'll know this week. I don't really think we've learned a whole lot more other than like Vidarian Lowe is someone they do legitimately want there.
Right.
I thought it was going to be a competition where maybe once Lowe got 4 practices, then we'd see Calvin Anderson, who of course did get banged up, but now he's just consistently with the second offense, primarily a right tackle. So I'm not really sure what to glean. I do think that the interior is going to be set. I think they do now realize that Chuks is truly a right tackle, but that left tackle spot, I'm really not sure what the plan is there. Fingers crossed that Caden Wallace can do enough to earn that spot at some point during this week. Yeah,
for sure. The offensive line, definitely a sticking point, something we talk about: wide receiver, quarterback, offensive tackle, the positions where it's really going to be make or break for if the Patriots can have some success this season. So 2 quick thoughts after the break, where 2 injuries that I want to talk to. One that happened today, one that has kind of been up and down throughout training camp, throughout really the course of this guy's entire career. So quick tease, we'll talk to you about those after the break, but first a quick word from our friends over at Prize Picks.
Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. With over 5 million active users, Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 stat projections for players and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks, turning $10 into $1,000. Get in on the excitement and win up to 100 times your cash with the summer games on Prize Picks. You can do this while watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer. Make a Prize Picks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more in as little as 60 seconds. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and you're locked in. If you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every week. For blowing select players, stat projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup, or getting entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. I love PrizePicks. I hit on a lot in the Celtics throughout the playoffs, and now we're back with Team USA out in France. So make sure you download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match bonus up to $100. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks for a deposit match bonus up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
That's PrizePicks. Head over to PrizePicks. Make your lineup. You can get probably a pretty good one in on Patriots and Eagles coming up on Thursday. All right, two, again, quick injury updates, news items, and then we're going to get out of here. Not much to glean from today's practice, so kind of trying to string this thing along. But Hunter Henry, the tight end group overall, I thought, has been solid for the Patriots this summer. No complaints because, again, Henry's reliable. And then Austin Hooper is someone who's been out here and knows the offense, worked with Van Pelt before in Cleveland. So, there's no complaints in the tight end room, I guess, besides Mitchell Wilcox, who didn't have a great Thursday.
Mitchell Wilcox has been Mitchell Wilcox.
Right, but regardless, Hunter Henry goes down today. He gets injured. We didn't see what it was. He ended up in the medical shed and then left practice and didn't come back out. So Austin Hooper turned into tight end 1, and Mitchell Wilcox was in his place. So again, we don't know anything, so it's purely speculative. But if for some reason something happened to Hunter Henry, not long term. You make the face like I'm talking something into existence. I don't mean to do that. I'm just saying.
Of course.
If we'll talk about it like this: if the Patriots don't have Hunter Henry for a game, what changes?
Oh, Austin Hooper's your tight end 1,
Well,
maybe more heavy personnel sets where you just use extra linemen. That's what I think Nick Leverette's going to do.
Right.
In terms of depth, none of the tight end 3s have really established themselves. Michael Petway has flashed at times. I'd say he's probably my favorite of that third tight end group. Mitchell Wilcox has just been so inconsistent. Petway has been able to make some plays, especially in scoring territory. And then Jaheim Bell, we haven't really seen him do much. Yeah, he got a fade touchdown against Kyle Duggar in the last practice, but not much from him there. So I just think this is already going to be an 11 personnel heavy team, but I think you really stay away from 2 or 3 tight end sets. And if you do get into some of those heavier personnel packages, then you just lean on your offensive line because Hunter Henry is the best tight end on this roster. And there's a tier between him and Austin Hooper where both really reliable, but I think Hunter Henry can make tougher adjustments and make more contested, difficult catches than can Austin Hooper.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Obviously, Henry goes out today. We don't know what happened. We'll keep you updated here. If we hear anything, if anything comes about, we'll, for now, assume he's out of practice tomorrow, but keep it locked in here and see what happens with the tight end room. All right, I want to do this quickly before we get out of here. It's Tyquan Thornton. Yeah. We always find a way to talk about Tyquan Thornton here on this show, but somebody who, on your roster projection, I believe you had him as an IR candidate.
I thought he was going to be on IR, I didn't even know if he was going to play in the preseason game.
I tweeted out post-game a quick 53-man roster projection just on Twitter, and I put him on IR as well. And then someone responded, was like, you're putting Tyquan on IR, and he was active and healthy in the game. It's like, at this point, you just kind of expect him to be nursing something. And he told us last week that he was dealing with a soft tissue injury. So that's why cautionary tale with Tyquan Thornton, somebody who he mentioned they're working him back slowly with that injury. They're working with him to, again, work back from it. So he was in and out of practice today. He was in some drills, sat back from others.
One-on-ones. He participated, I think, during Oklahoma's pretty much, and then he participated in, I think, the last team drill.
Yeah, they did two 11-on-11s period. He did not participate in the first one, but then he was the first X in that. During that second period, he actually caught the first 2 passes of the drill from Jacoby Brissett. So what do you make of Thornton at this point, at this junction where it's, again, I'm looking at my watch because it's August 11th. We've done this every day. There's been some sort – you can basically probably find tweets where it's basically like Tyquan Thornton watch here, where he has a good day, he has a bad day, he's out, he's in, he's participating, he's not. Like, is this ever going to get any better with him? Is he ever going to be reliable? And if he can be reliable, can he be even a good receiver?
I don't know. I have no idea if the guy can stay healthy. Right. It's nice to see him out here and that he is in the mix the way that he was in the preseason. Those are positives for sure. The fact that he is dealing with something and is still limited obviously is not. I will say he was getting separations in one-on-one. I will say he's making the most of his opportunities. Am I going to tell you that I see a great NFL X receiver? No. One that was taken in the second round? No, I'm sorry. I just don't really see that. Although he is getting separation, I do wonder how he would look against better competition. He's going up against some depth guys. Even Christian Gonzalez, you can debate why it's happening, but he's given up a lot of catches this summer, so it's hard to even really put too much stock into those wins. So I'm not trying to predict the future here, but I am worried about Tyquan long-term, especially considering the role they have him in. I just don't think is great for his skill set.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But credit to him for doing what he needs to be doing within his own control.
I agree with that. I think when he's out here and when he's not being working with the team on the injury stuff, like when he's healthy and active, he's been fine. He's been there's such a what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there's an expectation for him because of how high he was picked and what he was expected to be, where realistically he's working to be a second-team replacement level guy who is frankly just looking to make the roster. And I think he may have done enough to make the roster if he stays healthy, but that's obviously, been such a question mark. So we'll keep you updated here with Tyquan watches as this continues. A reminder, we will be back here We'll be back here tomorrow, practice tomorrow. Tuesday, joint practice with the Eagles. And then Thursday's second preseason game against Philadelphia here at Gillette Stadium. So, again, to wrap up this Day 12 recap, a good day for the offense. Some injury stuff with Henry and Thornton that we want to watch. The offensive line remaining consistent with Vidarian Lowe at left tackle for now. Brissett probably has his best day of camp, and Drake May continuing to make strides. We'll see what happens. Again, Gerard Mayo telling us that both those guys, Brissett and May, will get a lot of reps both in joint practice on Tuesday and the game on Thursday. So we'll watch out for that every single day here on Patriots Press Pass. Until tomorrow, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in with me and Taylor here. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.